Football loves to call itself the beautiful game, but every so often it produces moments so ugly they never fade. Players left unconscious while referees look away. Goals that cross the line in front of millions and still don't count. Whistles blown at the exact wrong second, and officials whose decisions changed history. I'm talking of moments that ended World Cup dreams, rewrote legacies, and turned referees into villains that fans still argue about decades later. Because some scandals forced football to change its rules, others were quietly buried, and a few went far beyond the pitch. So, from brutal fouls to ghost goals to referees who became infamous for all the wrong reasons, here are the top 10 most shocking football scandals in history. Number 10. 1982 World Cup semi-final, France vs Germany. So the moment arrived without warning. France sent a long ball forward and Patrick Battiston broke through the German defence with a clear run on goal. He touched the ball past the unrushing goalkeeper and prepared to finish. What followed froze the stadium. Harald Schumacher launched himself into Battiston's path and struck him at full speed, shoulder and hip colliding with Battiston's head while he was still in the air. Battiston dropped instantly. He lay motionless on the pitch, unconscious, having lost teeth and suffering serious injuries that required oxygen on the field. French players waved frantically for help. The crowd fell silent, and it looked like a clear foul, the kind that usually brings a red card without debate. But the whistle never came. The referee allowed play to continue with a goal kick for West Germany. No penalty, no booking, not even a stoppage for the collision itself. As medics carried Battiston away, visibly shaken teammates surrounded the official in absolute disbelief. The message was unmistakable. The match would move on. So the game went to penalties, and West Germany advanced. For France, the sense of injustice lingered long after the final kick. The incident became one of the most replayed and debated moments in World Cup history, often cited as an example of how player safety once came second to momentum and authority. And decades later, the collision still sparks anger. Number 9. Lampard's ghost goal. Okay, the score was tense when Frank Lampard stepped into the shot. England were chasing the game against Germany in the 2010 World Cup round of 16, already under pressure, already feeling the weight of history. Lampard struck the ball cleanly from distance. It smashed off the underside of the crossbar and bounced down behind the line. And for a split second, everything paused. Millions saw it go in. Players reacted instinctively. Lampard turned away, certain. England's bench jumped, German defenders hesitated, glancing toward the referee. The ball had crossed the line by a clear margin, then spun back into play. The assistant referee stayed silent. The referee waved on. No goal was given. Play restarted almost immediately. Germany attacked again and scored soon after, stretching the lead and draining the match of belief. Could have been a 2-2 game, became something else entirely. England never recovered. The outrage spread faster than the replay. Television broadcasts froze the frame again and again, drawing a bright line across the grass to show exactly where the ball landed. Commentators struggled to explain how a decision so visible could still be missed at football's highest level. The incident did more than eliminate England. It forced an uncomfortable reckoning. For years, football had resisted technology, leaning on tradition and human judgment. This moment stripped away that defense. A mistake witnessed live by the entire world carried consequences that could not be brushed aside. 2 years later, goal line technology was approved for major competitions. Lampard's shot became its defining evidence. The goal never counted, the result never changed, and the image of the ball bouncing behind the line remains one of the clearest injustices the World Cup has ever produced. Number 8. 2002 World Cup quarterfinal, Spain vs South Korea. So, by the time Spain reached the quarterfinals of the FIFA World Cup, they had settled into rhythm. The football felt sharp, the confidence steady, and the path forward looked open. Now, against tournament co-host South Korea, Spain expected a battle, but what followed became something else entirely. From early on, decisions began to pile up. Spain pushed forward, found space, and finished chances, only for the whistle to cut through the celebrations. A headed goal was ruled out for offside. Later, another Spanish goal was disallowed after a foul was called in the build-up. Each moment landed harder than the last. Replays played on stadium screens and televisions worldwide, and the confusion spread quickly. And as the minutes passed, frustration crept into Spain's play. Attacks slowed, protests grew louder. South Korea stayed organized, feeding off the energy of the home crowd and the momentum created by every stoppage that went their way. The match dragged through extra time without a goal, tension tightening with every touch. Penalties decided it. South Korea advanced, Spain went out. The reaction was immediate and fierce. Spanish players spoke openly about complete disbelief. Fans and pundits across Europe questioned how so many decisive calls could fall against one side in a single knockout match. The conversation drifted toward favoritism, pressure, and the unique dynamics of a co-hosted World Cup. But nothing was overturned. The result stood. South Korea's historic run continued. Spain were left with memories of night where goals went in, flags went up, whistles blew, and the sense of injustice refused to fade. But even years later, the match remains a reference point whenever World Cup refereeing comes under fire. Number 7. Euro 2024, Germany vs Spain. So, extra time at UEFA Euro 2024 carried a familiar weight. Germany were pushing forward, driven by the home crowd and the urgency of a knockout match drifting toward penalties. Spain sat deep, absorbing pressure, waiting for the moment to break. Then came the incident that changed everything. A German shot flew into the penalty area and struck the raised arm of Marc Cucurella. Contact was clear. Arms went up across the stadium. German players turned instantly toward the referee. The crowd erupted, already anticipating the decision. But nothing followed. Referee Anthony Taylor waved play on. The VAR room stayed silent. No review, no walk to the monitor. The game continued as if the moment had never happened. On the German bench, disbelief replaced focus. On the pitch, frustration crept into every touch. Spain held on and eventually moved forward in the tournament. Germany were eliminated, left with a replay that would dominate post-match analysis across Europe. Former players, analysts, and refereeing experts replayed the incident from every angle, pointing to current handball interpretations and questioning how the technology designed to prevent these moments never intervened. And the controversy deepened weeks later. UEFA's official post-tournament refereeing review acknowledged the decision had been wrong. Germany should have been awarded a penalty. The admission arrived after the damage was done, after the crowd had gone home, and after the tournament had moved on. For German fans, that made it sting even more. The tools existed, the replay existed, the error still stood. In an era built on precision and review, this moment joined the long list of decisions that prove football's biggest nights can still hinge on a single missed call. Number 6. 2010 World Cup qualifier playoff, Ireland vs France. The night in Paris carried everything a World Cup qualifier promises. Tension, nerves, and a single place in South Africa hanging in the balance. Ireland arrived knowing the margin was thin. France knew one moment could decide it. After 90 minutes, nothing separated them. Extra time followed, and with it, the moment that still echoes through Irish football. A loose ball dropped near the byline inside the Irish box. Thierry Henry reached it first. As the ball skipped away, Henry's hand made contact, guiding it back into play. He kept possession, squared it across goal, and Willem Gallas finished from close range. The referee pointed to the centre circle. France were heading to the World Cup. Irish players reacted instantly. Arms flew up. Protests surrounded the officials. Replays on television told a clear story within seconds. The ball had been handled. Everyone could see it, but there was no video review system in place, no safety net, and no mechanism to undo the damage. The fallout went far beyond the pitch. Ireland's Football Association lodged formal complaints. Politicians weighed in. Fans demanded a replay or an extra qualification spot. FIFA acknowledged the incident and expressed regret, then closed the case. The result stood. France went to South Africa, Ireland stayed home. Henry later admitted the handball in interviews, a rare moment of openness that only deepened the sense of injustice. For Irish supporters, the pain settled into memory as a defining wound. Number 5. 1990 World Cup, Germany vs the Netherlands. Now, knockout football between these two never arrives quietly. At the FIFA World Cup, that rivalry exploded under the weight of expectation, tension, and unresolved grudges. From the opening minutes, the match carried an edge that felt ready to spill over. Challenges flew in early, tempers flared, every whistle was contested. Then came the flashpoint. Frank Rijkaard and Rudi Völler clashed off the ball. Words were exchanged, shoves followed. As the referee tried to restore order, cameras caught a moment that stunned viewers worldwide. Rijkaard spat at Völler. Play stopped. Both players were sent off. The red cards did little to calm the match. The remaining players carried the same aggression into every duel. The referee struggled to impose control as fouls stacked up and protests followed nearly every decision. The football itself slipped into the background, drowned out by confrontation and chaos. Now, Germany went on to win the match, a step on the road to lifting the trophy weeks later. The results mattered, but the behaviour overshadowed it. The image of the spitting incident replayed endlessly, becoming one of the most infamous moments in World Cup history. Number 4. Šimunić's 3 yellow cards. World Cup matches rarely descend into confusion over the rules themselves, but in Stuttgart, during the group stage clash between Croatia and Australia at the FIFA World Cup, that line was crossed in real time in front of a global audience. Game was tense and physical, with both teams fighting for qualification. Midway through the second half, Croatian defender Josip Šimunić committed a foul and was shown a yellow card by referee Graham Poll. No one questioned it. Play resumed, minutes passed. Then it happened again. Another foul, another yellow card. Šimunić stayed on the pitch. Players glanced around in confusion. Australian players pointed. Croatian teammates hesitated. The referee carried on, unaware that the same player had now been cautioned twice. The match continued with 11 Croatian players still on the field, tension rising with every challenge. And later in the game, Šimunić committed yet another foul. Paul reached into his pocket and produced a yellow card for the 3rd time. Only then did the realization hit. A pause, a correction. The red card finally followed. Šimunić walked off, visibly baffled as the crowd reacted with disbelief. The incident spread instantly. Commentators replayed the sequence in stunned silence. Fans across the world tried to process how one of football's simplest rules had collapsed on its biggest stage. Poll later admitted the mistake, explaining that confusion over squad numbers contributed to the end. But the damage was already done. The moment became shorthand for officiating failure, replayed whenever refereeing standards came under scrutiny. In a tournament built on precision and pressure, one referee losing track of a number turned into one of the World Cup's most embarrassing chapters. Number 3. Maradona's Hand of God. Okay, here we are. The quarter-final between Argentina and England at the FIFA World Cup carried more than footballing tension. The match unfolded in Mexico City under heavy heat, tight marking and rising emotion. Then, early in the second half, the moment arrived that would never leave the sport. A looping ball dropped into the English penalty area. Diego Maradona surged forward alongside England goalkeeper Peter Shilton. Maradona jumped, arm raised, and made contact. The ball floated into the net, the referee pointed to the centre circle, the goal stood. English players reacted instantly. Hands went up, shouts followed. Shilton turned toward the officials in disbelief. From the referee's angle, the contact looked clean. The assistant referee kept his flag down. Within seconds, Argentina was celebrating a goal that television replays immediately exposed. Maradona ran back towards his own half, glancing to see if the whistle would come. It never did. Play resumed, and minutes later, he scored again, weaving through England's defence in a run later voted the greatest goal in World Cup history. The contrast between the two goals locked the match into legend, and after the tournament, Maradona gave the moment its name, calling it the Hand of God. The phrase spread across the world, turning controversy into mythology. Argentina went on to win the World Cup. England went home with a grievance that still fuels debate. Number 2. Zico's disallowed goal. Okay, Brazil and Sweden were locked in a tense group stage match at the FIFA World Cup. The clock ticked toward full time, the score level, and Brazil pushed forward knowing a win mattered for their path through the tournament. One final attack began to take shape as the ball rolled out for a corner. The cross was delayed slightly as the Brazilian players positioned themselves in the box. Referee Clive Thomas glanced at his watch. The corner was finally taken, arcing toward the penalty area. Zico rose to meet it and powered a header into the net. Celebration erupted instantly. Brazilian players turned away in relief, then the whistle cut through the noise. Thomas had already blown for full time before the ball made contact with Zico's head. The goal was ruled out. Confusion spread across the pitch. Players surrounded the referee, gesturing toward the corner flag, toward the net, toward the simple logic that a match should not end while an attack is in motion. But the decision stood. The match finished as a draw. Brazil left the field furious. Swedish players looked stunned by the sequence. Broadcasters replayed the moment repeatedly, freezing the frame at the instant the whistle sounded while the ball was still in flight. The disbelief crossed borders within hours. Now, the call carried consequences. Group standings tightened. Brazil's route through the tournament became harder, eventually leading them into a decisive clash with Argentina under controversial circumstances days later. And for many fans, the moment became a symbol of unchecked authority. Number 1. Byron Moreno. 2002 World Cup, a later arrest. When Italy faced South Korea in the round of 16 at the FIFA World Cup, the match already carried tension. South Korea were co-hosts, riding massive home support. Italy arrived with pedigree, pressure and expectations. And by the final whistle, the football itself barely mattered. Referee Byron Moreno stood at the centre of it all. Early decisions unsettled Italy, fouls were called and ignored without rhythm, and as the match wore on, the controversy escalated. An Italian goal was ruled out for offside. A South Korean equaliser stood, and in extra time, Francesco Totti was sent off for simulation, a call that stunned players and viewers alike. Minutes later, South Korea scored the golden goal that eliminated Italy. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Italian players protested on the pitch. Media outlets across Europe dissected every decision frame by frame. The match became the most controversial officiated game of the tournament, often cited whenever refereeing bias was discussed in World Cups that followed. Now, years passed, the controversy faded into football folklore, then reality intervened. In 2010, Moreno was arrested at John F. Kennedy International Airport carrying heroin hidden in his luggage. He later pleaded guilty and served prison time. The news reignited every old argument surrounding the 2002 match, adding a real-world criminal chapter to an already infamous reputation. No decision from that night was ever overturned. South Korea's run remained intact. Italy's exit stayed permanent. But what changed was perception. This scandal refused to stay on the pitch. It followed the referee into history, becoming the only World Cup controversy where the shadow extended far beyond football itself. And that's it. So, which scandals outraged you the most? Comment down below as you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.